The term call for proposal refers to the mechanism that the Shift2Rail Joint Undertaking put in place to ensure to receive proposal through a competitive and a transparent approach based on equal treatment, in answer to research and innovation subjects which are part of this program. The draft shell of the call for proposal is part of the annual work plan of the Shift2Rail Joint Undertaking. It is an official document that, once finalized, is published on the Horizon 2020 participant portal. Its purpose is to formally invite applicants to submit project proposal in view of their possible funding under the relevant participation rule. The call for proposals launched by the S2R Joint Undertaking are published on the Horizon 2020 single portal for participants and on the Shift2Rail website. Before submitting a proposal, you need to register and follow the steps indicated in the participant portal. All communication with the Joint Undertaking will be done through this portal.
The calls for proposals of the Joint Undertaking are of two types. The first, a call for members, is open to entities which, following previous transparent and competitive procedures, were selected as members of the Joint Undertaking. The second type, an open call, is open to all entities eligible in accordance with the H2020 rules of participation. This is a key element because the content of the different types of the calls is largely intertwined in order to achieve the Shift2Rail objectives and implement the Shift2Rail program. The Joint Undertaking has developed a specific model for a collaboration agreement that shall be used by the consortia with a need to collaborate, introducing the necessary modification. The added value of the Joint Undertaking is that it delivers an integrated and consistent research and innovation program whose results should enter the pipeline for deployment and market uptake without delays.
Only entities that are not members of the Shift2Rail Joint Undertaking, funding or associated, nor constituted entities of members in the form of consortia or grouping, nor affiliated entities either to the Shift2Rail members or to the constituted entities of members in the form of consortia or grouping can be eligible and participate. Please consider that if a member of the Joint Undertaking in the form of consortia or grouping, the individual constituted entities of this consortia or grouping, or the affiliated entities of these individual constituted entities decided to participate for an open call for proposal, the full consortium will be considered not eligible and excluded from the next step of the evaluations. Also pay particular attention to the other criteria that are needed to be considered eligible.
Joint Undertaking members, both funding and associated, and their affiliated entities. In the case of members in the form of consortia or groupings of legal entities, the individual constituent entities of these consortia or groupings and the affiliated entities of these individual constituent entities. Note also that, in accordance with the relevant membership agreements, the members agreed to limit the request of funding from the Joint Undertaking up to 44.44% of the total project cost, which is substantially below the maximum co-funding rate for RIA actions, up to 100%, or IA actions, up to 700%. To clarify, a non-member cannot participate directly as part of the consortium submitting a proposal to the call which requires membership as eligibility criteria. Nevertheless, different opportunities are open to participate in research and innovation activities realized by the members. For example, to be a third party with a legal link with the beneficiary or to be a subcontractor. In both cases, the provision of the H2020 rules of participation on subcontracting and on linked third parties should be complied with. Unless specifically indicated in the call for proposal, only applicants forming a consortium are eligible and shall comply with certain requirements. First, at least 3 legal entities shall participate in an action. Second, the 3 legal entities shall each be established in a different member state or associated country. And third, the 3 legal entities shall be independent of each other. Whereas participation is open to any legal entity, funding is reserved for legal entities complying with the following criteria. First, any legal entity established in an EU member state or associated country or created under the EU law. Second, any international European interest organization. And third, any legal entity established in a third country identified in the work plan. Therefore, participation and funding must not be confused.
A subcontractor is an economic operator providing goods, works, or services to the beneficiary, which are necessary for the actions and bound by a contract with the beneficiary. Subcontractors are not beneficiaries and have no direct obligation under the grant agreement, but their beneficiaries must ensure that they comply with certain key obligations. You have also to take into consideration that only a limited part of the action may be subcontracted. Subcontracting is based on business conditions, and the motivation of the subcontractor is pecuniary.
Only affiliated entities or entities with a legal link to a beneficiary can be considered as linked parties. Linked parties are allowed to participate in the action like the beneficiary they are linked to. They are not beneficiaries, but they are allowed to participate fully in the action and receive EU funding. They will therefore be treated for many issues like beneficiaries, and their beneficiaries must ensure that they comply with certain key obligations. A linked party does not charge a price, but declares its own cost for implementing the action tasks. For example, a company can include a university as a linked party, which is linked through a collaboration agreement.
If something is unclear in the text of the call, if you detect a mistake, or if you need to ask any question related to the call, you cannot directly contact the staff of the joint undertaking. You need to submit your question in writing through the portal, and you will receive an answer as soon as possible and within 50 working days. Please note that there is a deadline for the submission of the question, after which the joint undertaking will not longer be allowed to answer them. Also, once you are awarded the grant, all the administration of the action and the formal communication will be via the Horizon 2020 participant portal. Ensure that you submit the proposal by the deadline following the step indicated in the Horizon 2020 portal. After the deadline, the system will not accept submissions. Once the deadline is closed, the joint undertaking will start the evaluation process with the support of independent experts. The procedure is concluded by the decision of the Shift2Rail Governing Board, with the exclusion of the members that are in conflict of interest, on a recommendation by the Executive Director regarding which of the proposals have to be selected for award, ranking in a decreasing order, and which will not be selected for award or are not eligible. Please consider that usually the joint undertaking will finance one proposal per topic, unless it's indicated differently in the call. After the Governing Board decision, the Executive Director will start the grant agreement preparation, called the time to grant, with the concerned proposal. When a proposal selected for award in a topic will not be signed in the grant agreement, the Executive Director may select the second proposal selected for funding and start the grant preparation phase with it. The time limit for signing the grant agreement is generally 3 months. Once the procedure is completed, the proposal that will not be receiving funding will be notified accordingly. Generally speaking, a grant agreement is defined as a financial contribution or as financial support. It is a direct payment made to one or more beneficiaries for the purposes of carrying out an action or implementing a work program. The grant agreement includes, for example, which research and innovation activities will be undertaken, the project duration, the budget, rate and cost, or the Shift2Rail contribution and all the rights and obligations. For more information, please join our question and answer session this afternoon.